Bueno, pues buenos días a todas.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this doctoral seminar of the European Award, TORRES V, to Antonio Tajani, European Union, and the principle of solidarity. For us, the Academy of Yuste, this is a great pleasure to have you here in Jarandilla, close to Yuste, a place of European memory that we'll be visiting tomorrow to show us your research work that you have performed in relation to this award. This is a hot topic because I was listening to the news this morning about the border in Belarus. We see the need for Europe to take actions. I'm not going to talk about it because we have enough experts here to participate in this debate. So we will start right now with the opening session of this meeting that will be led by ROSA TORRES, the General Director of External Affairs of the Government of Extremadura and a member of the Yuste Foundation, has a degree in law, master's degree in law. She's been a commercial delegate and a researcher in European affairs in the government of the Office of the Government of Extremadura in Brussels, and where she's still performing those duties. She's been a consultant in international affairs for Extremadura and Avante, and also for the vice presidency of the Department of Trade and Innovation of the Government of Extremadura. She's been a consultant for the Socialist Party at the European Parliament. So Rosa BALAS, and her presence is especially appreciated because she's lived in Brussels and she has Europe in her soul and is passionate about Europe, and she's very passionate about this topic of this seminar of the TORRES V Award. She's really enthusiastic about it. So Rosa, thank you for being with us today and your support for this program. And you have the floor. Thank you very much and good morning. Thank you. I deeply thank you for the effort you've made to come here and to be with us here at the Yuste Foundation. It is an honor and an illusion to be able to prepare this activity, which is one of the pillars of the foundation, the doctoral courses of the TORRES V Award. And first of all, I want to thank the directors of the seminar, dear TERESA. It is a pleasure for me to finally meet you in person, dear Juan Carlos, the director of the foundation, and our friend. Thank you for the excellent work you've done with the rest of the workers of the Yuste Foundation, the dedication that the Yuste as a big family puts into it, and you will become part of this family as soon as you leave this place on Friday. This place, the Vera region, and especially Jarandilla de la Vera. And I also want to thank you, the researchers that are coming from different places in Europe and Latin America to come here today. And you will be the first element for new networks and new contacts, because this seminar is not only the place where you will be exposing your research and your knowledge, and to create more knowledge and more things from those personal relations that you will be creating in these 3 days and that you would take home with you. But this is very special for us too, because this is the first time we see each other personally. We see your faces and we can see the efforts you've made. And from now, this is the beginning of a new relationship until the papers get published. So for the coming 2-3 years, we'll be in touch in many occasions. And when we see you again, many new things will have happened, many positive things, and probably you will be working at institutions, universities, and multilateral organizations, and you will be part of the alumni network. I also want to thank Professor Enrique Moradillos. It is a pleasure and an honor to have you in this family, the family of Yuste, and that next Sunday will be part of the Royal Academy of History of Spain. He will be elected a new member to that academy. And finally, I want to welcome you to Extremadura, La Vera, Jarandilla, and Cuacos de Yuste and the Royal Monastery that you will be visiting tomorrow. The weather is not very nice, so we were not able to hold this seminar at the headquarters of the foundation at the Royal Monastery, also because of the pandemics. But this is a very important place because this was once the lodging of Charles V, the emperor, that dreamt of a united Europe in this palace of the Council of Oropesa. Charles V stayed for a few months before he retired to the monastery of Yuste. So it is one of the key places of the European memory. And the Yuste Foundation, as I was saying, has its headquarters at the Royal Monastery. And its aims are to promote the knowledge about Europe and European construction and to create spaces for the reflection about those topics. And at the same time to create networks for work and collaboration. When in 2018, the President of the European Parliament, Antonio Tajani, received the European Award Charles V and said that the motor for these scholarships was going to be the European solidarity, we could not imagine that a few months ago the world would change. He said that the motor for his awards, for the seminar, the doctoral seminar of his awards, would be European solidarity, because he was thinking about the earthquakes that had taken place in Italy. Because you know that the European Union had to change the mechanisms for disaster relief a few years ago, and especially after the pandemic. We have no words to describe how our lives have changed after March 2019. We have to redefine, rethink, and redesign our objectives, our priorities, and our values. In these months, we've gone through a sanitary crisis with social, family, and economic consequences. We are experiencing crisis in the supply chain and a logistic crisis, post-truth, nationalist, and other types of threats. In some places in Europe, populisms and negationism. And I was mentioning, Miguel was mentioning the situation of Belarus, the border with Belarus in Europe. And we were having a family picture just a few minutes ago with our coats, and we were freezing because the weather is freezing. So just imagine the situation. Those people are living at the border of Belarus, families with children, women, etc. So all these challenges that are lurking are not very far away. They are at the gates of Europe, at the doors of Europe. But the pandemic has also shown positive things, the best of some of us, the best of our societies and the European Union. Jean Monnet said, "I am not an optimistic, I'm not a pessimistic, I am just determined." And that is the key of the mission of the institutions and our policies, and also the citizenship of each and one of us. It is a high time that we act. It is a time to act. And we have to vindicate and claim our rights, but we also have to be aware of our duties and our obligations. So it is now the time is now to co-construct, and the Yuste Foundation used to meet at the Royal Monastery when they created the Declaration of Europe, a culture for solidarity, when they said that solidarity is not just one thing, but a multiple thing in the reality, and at the same time at several levels, a politic level, cultural level, social level, economic level, etc. So Europe has been built upon solidarity. And we can see it every day because the European Union will only exist if it's true to its principles and the values that shape it. Europe was one of the first places that the pandemic struck in every places and every level. But Europe was united to show its weaknesses and strengths. Some weaks, of course, in terms of research and logistics, but it also had some strengths because it showed us that by working together and in solidarity, we can overcome the challenges, such as, for example, with the joint procurement of vaccines, and in July 2020 with the new approval of aids and subsidies, which was with a clear mission of showing what Europe and its members wanted to do. So it is a Europe with more solidarity for now and for the future, but for now, Europe needs strategic independence so that we can have a strong voice and have a serious policy with the values at its core. A month ago, the Royal Monastery was the home of the award ceremony to Angela Merkel. And in her speech, she said that the European process was a process that is ongoing, never stopping, and that acting in terms of Europe needs to be persistent. So we have to keep on studying and working in the European project that is always under construction. And what a better place and way to do it with your research, with your European attitudes and Ibero-American attitudes. So for 3 days, this doctoral seminar will be the voice of many messages and ideas that will nurture the debate that will be feeding the European project. Eva, Reading, Maria Cristina, Patricia, Pablo, Vanessa, and Marco, you will be joining the new alumni network. But as I was saying, you are now part of the big family of the Yuste Foundation. So before I conclude, I want to talk about the jury of these scholarships and its members. I want to thank you, deeply thank you, that you are here today. And I want to end with a quote of Antonio Tajani when he was in Yuste. He said that the European Union is especially solidarity with those who need it. So we have to keep on building Europe because this is the best future we can dream of. Thank you.
Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you very much, Rosa. So, yes, the protocol of unmasking again adds time to the schedule. So thank you for your words that have created the framework for this meeting today. And now I want to welcome Professor TERESA FREIXES, Professor of Constitutional Law and also an academician of the Royal Doctor Academy, an expert of the legal assistance for the countries of Eastern Europe and in the European Union. He has taken part in the creation of the Treaty of Amsterdam, the Charter of Fundamental Rights, the European Constitution of the Lisbon Treaty, and he has directed the national focal point of the Agency of Fundamental Rights of the European Union and the European Institute for Gender Equality. And she is also she's a member of the Hermes Institute, and she chairs the Committee of the Cultura Libre Foundation and the international organization Citizens Pro Europe, and the Honor Council Gender 5+. So thank you for being here today. I am sure that you feel very close to the topic that you will be dealing with today, that they will be dealing with today. Thank you. Thank you, Miguel Angel. I'm sorry because I have a sore throat because I was recently moving home. So, excuse my voice, dear President. Of the Yuste Foundation, the director of the Yuste Foundation. It is a pleasure for me to be with you today, the General Secretary Miguel, members of the jury, dear PhD students, in this lovely place, magnificent place. So for me, this is a very great honor and a pleasure. When I was asked to co-chair this seminar, I was thinking, oh my God, this is quite a challenge. And this is the first time for me. And I think it's a great experience. I was in one of the previous seminars, so I saw what this seminar could contribute with to all of those who participate in it, not just the PhD students, but the rest of the people who take part in it, because in the discussions that ensue, many references or papers were thought of, so I received them that were sent to me by people who used the discussions and dialogue for their research. So all this puts us in the face of a new challenge. We have to think about the Europe of the past, the present, and especially the future. We know from experience, and we can learn from the experience. The present time situation has been a very harsh experience, not just for the European Union, but for everybody. I'm not talking just about the COVID-19 pandemic, but also the geopolitical situation that we live in. The world that had emerged after the Second World War is now going somewhere else. And we don't know exactly where it's heading to. We don't know how things are going to change. There's one thing in the Yuste Foundation. It is both European and Latin American. So it has to be the driver. As the consequence of the Brexit, the relationship between the European Union and America has been broken now. It's not the same. And we have to seize that opportunity because the European Yuste Foundation, it's also an Ibero-American foundation, so the past, present, and future ties have to be of some purpose. We have to rebuild that relationship. We have to rebuild it so that Europe and America, as Jean Monnet dreamed of, that united Europe will get us closer to the American continent in a democratic sisterhood, we have to seize that opportunity now. And we have to take that opportunity because we have people from America in this seminar. Some of the papers will talk about that connection between Europe and America. So this puts us in a situation in which we have to analyze the past, we have to address the present, and we have to see the future. This Yuste network is a great one. It is an international network. I used to be part of the Jean Monnet network. Well, I'm still a member of the Jean Monnet network. And it is great, and I can see the synergies that that network has created after decades of history. So the Yuste network is going to be similar, even if it's more recent and has different traits. It's in the same pathway of dialogue, critical dialogue, so that Europe can move forward faster and better, so that we can be better in the future thanks to it. And this seminar takes place at the same time the Conference for the Future of Europe. And the Yuste network has also members in it. Some members of the jury, of this jury, take part in that conference at the same time. And the same, the foundation itself and Dr. Susana del Rio and myself take part in the conference about the future of Europe. And we know we want that conference to be useful. We want that conference to place the citizens at the core of the European actions.
Because we are aware that politics and geopolitical aspects condition things, but citizens can also push for things, those things that politicians or politics don't know or cannot tackle in an efficient manner. Here, the Yuste network is a basic and crucial element through its activities and through its academical activities, through its publications and through its work in the office in Brussels and through its work here in Spain. Being in the conference means struggling for that Europe that we want, for Europe, a Europe based on solidarity, which is the motto of this seminar. As the president of the foundation said, Antonio Tajani himself picked the topic, and he picked the topic in circumstances that were dramatic for his country. But we see how solidarity is something dramatic. It's something crucial in Europe and in the world right now. Solidarity is a basic principle in the construction of Europe. Without it, there would be no Europe. Solidarity is what was at the birth of Europe, little by little, step by step. Firstly, in an economic matter, and from there it evolved to a more political Europe, to a Europe that is Europe for citizens, and we want that Europe to be able to face all our challenges ahead of us. I am from Catalonia, and as a Catalonian citizen, as well as European and Spanish citizen, we are so lucky to be in Europe. We are fortunate, and I want to congratulate what Tajani did through his presidency of the European Parliament, and after his presidency, when he was the chair of the Constitutional Affairs Commission. Without that support, we would have felt alone, and we wouldn't have felt that solidarity, the solidarity that was shown by his action. The presence of Europe in the world is crucial, and Europe as an element of coherence is basic, and solidarity is very important in that way. I remember that in the 60th anniversary of the creation of the European Community that was celebrated in Rome with a huge event and the participation of institutions and the civil society. And that's very important. Civil society must take part in events. So at that time, the motto of the conference, unanimously chosen, was no to nationalism and no to populism, because nationalism and populism are at the origins of all the evils that Europe has suffered. And this is not happening only in Europe. In Latin America right now, there are very serious threats. And we must be able to face these threats in a rational manner, in an efficient manner. And I think we have a great role to play. Solidarity also helped us face the pandemic. I just said that we had to be critical, and we have to admit that the European Union took a few months to act, and then it started taking off. And it was able to distribute medicines, it was able to distribute, and even to distribute equipment and to exchange people affected. I spent the pandemic between different cities, between Brussels and Heidelberg, and I was hearing about what was happening here in Spain, but I also saw what was happening in those cities and how things were happening. I had to be flown back home through this European solidarity. Consulate solidarity worked, and some things happened that would have been impossible without European solidarity. These principles are cross-cutting and affect the work of institutions, policies, etc. Without European solidarity, it would have been virtually impossible to face the situation. Of course, there's a long way ahead of us. It was made clear that we need better competences. For example, in health aspects, in economic aspects, in international affairs and international affairs and defense. For example, what happened with the crisis in Afghanistan? What's happening in the borders of Europe right now? But in addition to better competences, we also need institutions to be reformed to do their work efficiently. These are two of the challenges that we have been mentioning and that we have presented in the conference about the future of Europe. Better competences and citizens pushing for this. So I feel honored to be here with all of you. I want to thank you for your presence here and for your effort, because without a big effort, this will be impossible. And I also want to thank you for letting me be here, inaugurating this seminar that will, just like all the previous ones, but maybe there's a different aspects here. This will be a milestone in these Yuste seminars, and this will be a milestone in the history of the Academy. Thank you very much, and have a very fruitful work. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias por tus...
Thanks, dear Teresa. Thanks for your words, for such inspiring words based on your experience. You have a wonderful experience here in the Jean Monnet chair, and as you said, this seminar is going to be a milestone in Yuste. You mentioned Antonio Tajani, who will be here closing this seminar, and I'm sure that he's following us online.